All right, well let's get started here. Guys, thank you for joining us. Charlie Bathgate from Sang Lucci here, obviously joined by Sang Lucci himself, Anand Sangvi, and we are also joined by our esteemed guest for the afternoon, Anwar from the Steam Room. Why don't you say hello to everybody here?
What's up, guys? I think most people know me as Brown, but yeah, so I'm gonna do everything I can for you.
Yeah, yeah. So we drug him out of the steam room into the public eye to talk to you guys about how he confronts some of the questions that we are talking about in this What's Your Why trading series. So this is the first episode of this. We're going to be going throughout the rest of this week and next week, talking to some of the best traders that we know from the steam room, guys who come from all sorts of different walks of life and backgrounds, and really just about how they answer these questions that determine your trading success on a day-to-day basis, how they're making trades, but also from a wider perspective, the psychology of trading, how they keep their shit in balance, basically. The hardest part of the whole thing. So that's what we're digging into today. Let's get started. Anwar, do you want to start out with just tell everybody like quick 2 minute story of your background, how you came to trading, and I guess how you would describe your style of trading right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure people already kind of know that are already in the room, but as far as people that aren't in the room, every day, man, I come out of the market, it's like I feel like I'm going to a battle, literally, like every day, because you don't know what the fuck's gonna happen, but at the end of the day, like you got to keep your emotions and everything in check to have a plan, trading plan that is. You can have a lunch plan and all that, but that's all irrelevant. But what you're gonna do, when you come in the market and if that goes against you, and how you're gonna react to that. But I love trading options and options only. A lot of people are probably gonna shit on me for that. Sorry.
When did you
But
start? Well, when did you start trading? Let's start with that. Like how long have you been in the game?
So I've been in the game since 2010, as far as like placing my first trade, which was Bank of America, and buying it. And I was graduating during the financial crisis. I graduated in 2009,
Yep.
and I bought Bank of America. I think at like eight some change. At the mentor at that time, he told me, like, dude, just pull the trigger. I mean, you can sit here and do all your due diligence, but just pull the trigger, and I did, and I capped out on my first ever trade at 100% and
Nice.
common,
Nice.
not options, common.
Nice.
So I was hooked from then and
Fucking
there.
hook. Degenerate. Complete degenerate.
You got
It,
that
it
you
is,
got that
man.
dopamine flush and you were like,
Com-
this is it. This is what I need. I'm in.
I mean, yeah, that's essentially that's how it all started, But at the same time, I was getting a finance degree, So all the boring math and the ball, all that shit you got to do, that it's like 90% of the finance major don't do none of that, And
yeah.
and again, same thing I talked about in my last webinar, you know, when you get a degree, it's like all about fundamental, but it's kind of a BS, to be honest. And they ought to teach you more technical analysis, price action, day to day, what moves the market, So
Right. Right.
unfortunately, it just took me forever to get to that level after I graduated, but I'm glad I did, But yeah.
How
Got it.
long was forever? How long was forever? We always exaggerate, of course. We say it took me forever, but how long was forever?
So yeah, so I graduated. I got on the Air Force in '05 or '03. I graduated college '06. And I'm sorry, I think that I ought have gotten in the military in '05. Gotten out of college. I was a little late, like '09, and decided to stay extra an year. But as far as figuring it all out, I don't think I even figured it out how all this shit worked till I moved to Virginia. Again, man, I have the best wife. I think she's listening, so yeah, I love you, babe. And yeah, yeah. So because of her, man, I got into this whole technical analysis, and from then, with Canal, it just went to a different world, man. And it was just I just think a lot of people that are new coming into the market, that they don't really have a good way to get involved almost. Like, everyone's like, oh, I'm a trader, but no one's ever willing to like, hey, man, this is how things work versus you
Right.
think that's how things work. So I started off with options. Like I think I told y'all last time, learning about fucking, calendar butterfly and when I don't even know anything about price action. So
Right.
it was like, holy shit, this is fucking hard. And yeah. And eventually, once I got to know how like stocks worked and how supply and demand, all of that shit came in place, and everything else kind of mellowed in, to be honest, man.
Nice. So
So,
what would you say? 5 years, 10 years?
uh,
What do you think?
dude, I'm a slow learner, bro, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm very proud of
That's
that,
fine.
and,
Yeah.
and I think it took me to get to where I'm at least like fucking 8 years, bro. Like,
8 years.
being able to be comfy, and like, I don't really give a shit if I lose my job tomorrow because I know I can survive. So
Right.
in
Awesome.
where I'm
Awesome.
at least 8 years, man.
And
Awesome.
how long ago was it that you did the master course? When was that?
I did the master course almost exactly 3 classes ago, so almost a year ago, I want to say.
Okay.
That's how me and
Yeah.
Ronchero
So
became like, like really best friends. I mean, at least in my book, he's one of my best friends. He'd probably be like, yo, Tia, just a, Brown, just another
It's
Brown, eh?
it's
And
it's funny though, in this world, like, and again, like these people listen to us and they listen to us talk for hours a day. So in reality, there's more touch points with folks in our chat room and guys like Brown Man here
right.
than anybody else.
And friends are yeah. I mean, there's not that many people in your life that you talk to for that many hours a day. Yeah, for sure. You get to know people, man, and it gets intimate. That's for sure.
Indeed.
Um, all right. Well, let's start digging into how you're making trades. Let's start going through the questions, right? So the first question that we have lined up in this series, Anwar, is, why am I placing this trade? And so the question is, when you are about to pull the trigger on a trade, when you're making that decision, how are you answering that question for yourself? Is this looking at tape? Is obviously you referenced the Bulls on Wall Street course and some technical analysis in there. Like, when you're asking yourself the question, why am I placing this trade? How are you finding that answer?
so it's not as easy as the question may sound,
Yeah, it's a difficult fucking question here. It's
Right.
uh,
way
um,
Not by accident.
yeah, I mean, when I'm getting into a trade, for instance, I have, I think I mentioned this last, podcast that I trade differently when Jesus, that never shorts, I love him. If he's not on my ear, and like I just don't trade right. But along with listening to him, he's got the little Algo J, talking. I will make a trade of Algo Jesus, and based on the news, I will act right then and right there, and don't even think twice because sometimes
Yeah.
whenever you like stop and like you want to dissect all this shit in your due diligence, by then it's far too late to even enter a trade. You're a trader at the end of the day. You got to act then and then figure it out. But that's probably not the best advice for new folks or a
Hold
lot of
on,
folks.
like that is key, like what you just said. And again, it's difficult to even get there. Like, you are a true scalper. Scalpers are the only ones that act like this because you have to get that price when it is there, number one, and then your losses are going to be minimal because you're moving so quickly. That's what scalpers, this is what they're known for. So as soon as you get out, if the thought comes like, yo, I got to get out, boom, that's it. You're not even asking any questions. You're in, out, in, out, in, out, in, out, and you're asking those questions way later than the rest of us do. So 100%, like, that's where you need to be.
I mean, I'll give you one example. I don't even know the ticker, honestly. Like, but I remember being in the student room. Algo J was talking in the background. I bought like 10 contracts or something for 50 cents, $500, and I ended up selling it for $5, like less than an hour later. So 1,000%, you know what I mean? So like, sometimes it's worth taking that risk, just acting upon it. But at the end of the day, you can't just, as they're coming as a new trader, keep doing those type of lottos. You know what I mean? You have to
Sure. Well,
learn to get your risk in check,
Yeah,
because I
you have
never
to have
go
developed.
all out on my all these lottos that I play. So it's a balance at the end of the day, right?
And for you, I mean, for you to be able to pull the trigger that quickly, you feel pretty confident at this point that you can manage the risk around whatever position you're putting on, right? I mean, you have confidence that you're going to get the fuck out if this thing's turning against you. So how did
I,
you how did you develop that? Like, how long did that take to develop that
uh,
willingness to pull the
I
trigger?
don't think anything ever taken less than 3 years on my learning curve to like develop any of that patterns.
Right,
But I'm not ashamed of that. I'm actually proud of that because they're just saying
right,
like whatever comes quick, you tend to lose that shit quick too. You know what I mean? So I'd
right.
rather like fucking take forever to learn, but at the end of the day, I want this shit to last forever. You know what I mean? So um,
Wow. That he just answered question number 3, I think, right there. That's another big fucking why, or whatever that question 3 or
All right,
4. We'll come back to that one.
don't get ahead of us. All right,
That
the questions are in
was,
order. All right,
hey, that was a
relax.
soundbite right there.
That was a soundbite. Um,
um,
all right. I mean, yeah, that makes total sense. So when you let's hit the next question then. I mean, summarize answer number one. You're really looking at flow for the most part. You're looking at flow and you're paying attention to your instinct and you're just pulling the trigger with the confidence to know that you're going to manage the position. If it gets out of hand, your style at this point. You're scalping. You're very short term, and so you feel confident pretty much based on flow to pull the trigger. Is that about
100
right?
80% maybe per se because y'all gonna probably may not like this answer, but at the end of the day, that's how I was taught as a technical analysis. I am technical analysis dude, and I don't
Yeah.
think I'll ever change. But once I took Lucci's course, then I figured out there's another arsenal I can add within my technical analysis. Like
Right.
for instance, I probably don't sit here and watch tape like Lucci does, and I'm not trying to be. That's Lucci's fucking bread and butter. But I do watch tape hard whenever at my
Yeah.
certain Fibonacci level, my support and resistance level. Yeah, I will like more focus on that particular tape at that moment. But
You can turn it
it's
on. Right.
absolutely combining little things that you learn along this journey. This isn't a fucking race, guys. It's a marathon. So like you learn different things, and like a lot of people will ask me like, yo, like let me know before you're gonna trade in. And I just want to tell them like, yeah, I'm sure I will let you know whatever I enter, but I bet you won't be able to trade it like me because it took me years to be able to trade it like that. But you should never
Right.
just like trying to pick off of someone else and trying to like mimic it. You should just trying to develop your own system,
Yes.
So
And that's one of the things. I mean, obviously, this is one of our whole sticks. This is what we teach in the master course. This is the thing that Lucci's been preaching for, the history of the website, right? That you can't just grab somebody else's strategy or someone else's 1, 2, 3, step process and expect to apply it to your trading and have it work for you. And that's one of the things that's so tough about trading. But as you've spoken to in this, it takes time. Like you got to put in the time to take the skill sets and the tools that you've learned from elsewhere and then kind of internalize and put it through your own process to be like, okay, this is how I can apply this stuff for me, for my account size and risk appetite and temperament and all of that together. So that makes total sense. Um, let's go to the second one. So the second question is, why do you hold the views that you hold, right? And this is kind of interesting for you because you are so short term. I mean, how much are you looking at or making sort of mental predictions yourself on, oh, what's up? We got video now.
well, sorry, dude. I thought I was like, being presented to the whole world, and Ronchera texts me, I love my big brother. Like, yo,
What?
where's your pretty face at? So, yeah. So
All
I
right,
had
all
to
right.
like, I thought I was on the whole time over here. So yeah, my bad.
You're good. You're good. You're good, man. So yeah. So when you are like, are you making? Well, how do you answer that question for yourself? Why do you see the market moving in the direction that you think it's going in? If you're even predicting a direction, maybe you're not even doing that.
You know, one of the thing, like, I think I love Lucci, man. He's like my guru, and like I look up to him a lot, man. And one of the couple of things that he's said over the years that I followed him, whatever it was. Uh, you're not, don't ever come into fucking market bias. Yeah, as much as people in the whole room things, I like to wear the fucking bear suit all day long, every day. It's not
Yeah.
the case. I always try to remind myself that, leave the bias outside and, just trade the price action, and, but I am pretty good at picking out shorts versus long or holding swings. I can't hold shit overnight. I don't have the patience. But as far as coming in the market, why I take a trade, it's always got to line up with sentiment, like the flow, like with what Jesus praises every Sunday. If sentiment says like, yo, man, everybody's so fucking fearful, now it's time to buy. I'm not gonna go fight it, I'm not gonna do it. And or for instance, today, BA, Boeing, I'm sure, it's kind of sad everything that happened, but I was short, I was able to cover half of my position, more than 100%. Then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna let it ride. Then I kept seeing tape coming in, and April they kept hitting, certain on the long side. I was like, you know what? Fuck it, man. I mean, I'm not gonna try to fight that. I don't have enough capital like that big guy. They've got to know something that I don't know, whatever it is. Let me just book my shit and move on to the next trade. It's like a bus stop, onto the next. Like just because you miss one doesn't mean shit. But as far as taking a trade day to day, it's got to line up. I usually take trades that are either hitting certain Fibonacci level at a resistance or just a support and resistance, basic as that. And just when
So you're kind of
everyone wants
layering that with flow and technical analysis, and then
100%,
your in position
100%,
watch tape. Got it.
absolutely.
Right. Okay. So you're like stacking up your sort of levels of analysis.
It's a probability game, right? At the end of the day, all it is a probability game. So like, if everything's lining up, more chances you may be right. But if you're fighting against that, most likely you're not going to be right. So, and you got to learn how to like, okay, I'm wrong. Put that ego behind you, man. Because if you got a big ego, you're not going to get anywhere in this game.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's not necessarily. I mean, you've talked about how you kind of like form your view of market direction, where you think it's going. But for the most part, what you're saying is that you strive to have a lack of attachment to that view, right? I mean, you have a
100%.
view, you have an opinion, but you're kind of from the saying Lucci school of being able to flip that bias as quickly as possible.
100%, man. Only attachment I have is my family, my son, and my wife. That's it, man.
He's a scalper. He's a fucking scalper. To put this in the context of tickets, let's say, sometimes the day right before an event, prices will shoot through the roof. But Brown Man would be the guy who takes his 20%, 30%. As soon as the venue sells out, he takes his money, he's going to the next one. He's not going to take the shot on the off chance that maybe I'll be able to sell this for 100% or 200%, 300%, or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? He's a scalper. This is what you got to do. And Jesus too is a pure scalper. He just does it on the fucking long side. I still can't understand why he doesn't just flip and do it on the other side. But dude, everybody has their own thing.
Everybody's got their thing, man. Yeah, we talked about it. Jesus and I talked about it last week. Like, you learn your style, you learn what works for you.
That's it.
Slap around enough trying to do stuff that other people do, and then you realize it's not worth it.
And again, like, this is what you guys are going to get with us too during the course. We'll talk about that later, but you have to find your style, and we have a whole fucking lesson plan on that whole thing.
Yep. Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. Let's do number 3. So now we're getting deep.
This is the big one.
We're getting real psychological, right? So yeah, get ready. Take that hat off. Let's.
Yeah, man. My wife's a clinical psychologist, so I better answer this shit right.
Why do you think you're on here, man? Come on. If you didn't have that, didn't have that head already. All right. So why are you trading? Like, what does trading bring to you? What does it mean to you?
And before you answer this, for the rest of you guys here that are listening, watching, and all that kind of stuff, answer yourselves. Remember, the question is what are you doing this for? And the whole purpose of this series is finding out what is your why on every single level. We're talking about the big picture here. Why the fuck are you trading? So take it away, bro.
I actually take notes on this particular answer. I knew that was coming, man.
Nice.
That is a big one, Lucci. Besides, general topic being, freedom, whatever, we all want freedom, right? Who doesn't? But you better go serve this country if you want freedom, earn that shit. But that's a different topic. But But at the end of the day, man, like for me, I'll just talk about me. A lot of people than less don't think I can make it in this game,
Yeah.
and including my mother that made a comment once. But I don't think she meant it, any harmful way. But when people tell me I can't do something, that's what drives me, And when I was in sixth grade and I moved from Bangladesh, when I was 10 years old, and I was a fat little chubby kid, didn't even speak a lick of English, bro. And but I use that as a motivation. A lot of people would, take that as like, bring them down. Most people would. Um, and I used to be a fat chunky kid, and I ended up beating everybody in the Air Force in a bench press competition. Out of 6,000 kids, I done, you know, 130 push-ups in 2 minutes. I
Whew.
can't do none of that shit right now. I got a medal for it. So yeah, I did, and but that's what, like, when people say I can't do it, like, I just want to say, you know what? I want to prove them wrong. As far as like why I want to do it, it's not more so like I want to prove people wrong. I told you so, ha ha, like, to their face. But besides the freedom, it's a challenge. Like I like the challenge every day. Like it is like going to a battle and going to a war every single day because you're fighting within yourself. There's nobody. Market doesn't know you. No one knows you. It's you that's effing up. If you are effing up, or if you're making money. Uh, my father, for instance, we come from a very well-off family in Bangladesh. He's a hardcore political leader, and gave it all up in '95 and started managing a gas station to being on the newspaper and the news every day. We were on the news when we left the country, in '95.
Wow.
So yeah, he's
I didn't
always
know
been
that,
my
man.
big.
That's
He's always
crazy.
been my big motivation. The guy I always looked up to, and when I moved to Virginia in 2010, he after he whatever from fucking Valero, doing that shit, managing. He left, and he's been out of the game for forever. And he was always known as a very well-known lawyer. And just recently, a couple of weeks ago, he just won the president of the judicial system of the state where I'm from, and
Yo.
that's huge, And my father, that's his third year trying, and
Wow.
each year he lost, but he never gave up. And so my dad always told me, man, like, I've been working. I lied about my age. Worked at Taco Bell when I was 15. I told him I was 16, and my dad always said, doesn't fucking matter if you clean the toilet, whatever the fuck it is, man. Take pride and give it all you have. More so, man, I'm not just gonna pick something up just because I didn't make in it. It's easy for me to say, you know what, I'm done, on to the next. I always, hear my dad's voice, and so he's my big motivation at the end of the day, man. And for him to, for me to witness, all the things he sacrificed, I don't think I could do it for my son, And I think a lot of people know, how I feel about my son, and yeah, that's selfish of me to say, but what my dad did for me, took a huge toll for me to how I look in life, and moving forward.
That's
And
huge, man. That's
yeah, man,
huge.
I
But
mean, as
you know what?
far as
In reality, like Charlie's father is also super influential in his life. My father is super influential in my life. Whether it's for negative reasons, positive reasons, it doesn't matter. Like the force and the drive, like comes from that. Like I know it does for me, even though I hate to admit it sometimes. But and I'm sure it's the same, and I know it's the same for Charlie as well. That shit is crazy, man. I love that story, bro. Fucking love
Yeah,
that story.
dude, I didn't really know much. Yeah, I didn't know much about that background at all. And I mean, I think what's awesome about what you just said is it covers kind of both sides of the spectrum. Like there's a part of you that just says like you're competitive and you've pride and you're like, tell me I can't fucking do something. Like I'll show, I'm gonna wake up. Like you can see the look in your eyes right now. You have that bulldog, like, I'm
indeed, my
coming for
friend.
you. Look. And then there's also the flip side of it where, yeah, you have pride that, aspiring to be like your dad. And I mean, I think what you're hitting on is that everybody has the reasons that drive them to do things, to do whatever, start their own businesses or trade or do whatever. And I think traders get a bad rap because people think if you're a trader that you're just doing, you're out to make money. Literally, you're sitting down on a computer and your job is to make money. And so that's all you care about is making money. And
Yeah, and I
I
say
don't,
F those people that's not in this business, man, because they don't understand. They do
yeah,
not
they don't understand.
understand, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
recently, I stopped talking to anyone, including my wife and any of my brothers, my family members that have nothing to do with trading. I don't want to get them involved. Like one of the person I talked to database is Ranchero, because I know he understands. You know what I mean? Like it's a very lonely world in this business.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Right.
maybe that'll change, man. Maybe that'll change with conversations like this. Maybe it'll change. You know what I mean? There's a whole nother layer to trading, and that is never shown. It's what is Anwar's life outside of fucking trading? What is Charlie's life outside of trading? What is my life outside of trading? Who are we? Who are the people we are affecting? What else are we doing? What other businesses do we have? How are we, impacting the our surroundings and all that kind of stuff? Nobody hears about any of that shit. Nobody even knows about any of that shit. But all they know is, did you fucking make money on Boeing? If you didn't, you're a fucking chump. That's
You're
all.
only as good as your last trade, eh?
That's it. That's all they
All
fucking
right. Well, then, I mean, you started to hit on this, but I mean, so much of what you just talked about is like self-awareness, right? Is you understand, what is motivating you in a lot of ways. You've asked yourself questions and you've been through the battles that force you to have answers to these questions that a lot of people don't. They just don't want to go in that layer. They don't want to go down to the next level. And I think, the kind of bottom level of this is, why do you think, well, here, let's start with this. What is your version of success trading? Like when you imagine your life as a successful trader, what does that look like for you? Because that looks different to everybody.
It does, and I think you did touch briefly on that when you were talking to Jesus on the last webinar. When you become a trader, it's really not about the money, man. It's about your process, and like, losing money, like Lucci knows, how much I lost, and that shit never bothered me. It's just like breaking my rules and not being like self-aware of all the other negative emotions that took over that I wasn't able to control. Well, that's what really like eats me alive more than anything. But at the end of the day, man, we're all humans. We're not angels, right? I mean, we all make mistakes every day, so it's okay. Don't be so hard on yourself. But like Jesus said, like eventually gonna learn from that shit, like. And I'll be the first one to admit that I had to get my ass beat plenty of times in order for me to like, oh my God, I just can't do that anymore. Like, put a fucking note on your fucking screen or whatever it takes for
Right.
you to like, hey, do not do that. Like, honestly, like I think I could have 4 times as money as much as I have right now if I had like Lord as simple as risk management or a risk manager dude, or if I'm making some bad shit that I get electrocuted or whatever the fuck it is. Like, just like Lucci needs his assistance, right? He's all over the place, being an IG model to whatever he's doing, and 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 sometimes, I mean, the sooner you can accept that, hey, oh man, I'm not perfect. Let me just be better than I was yesterday. I think you'll be able to eventually see the light at the end of the tunnel. But
Right.
again, it's not a race, man. It takes a lot of times, and a lot of the time, I think most people don't know what their purpose is. You know what I mean? So without knowing your true purpose, why I'm doing certain things, you let your emotions take over. You know,
100%.
and it,
Couldn't have said it better.
and like emotions, it could be your best friend, it could be your worst enemy, right? I mean, when you're feeling like shit, and everything's going against you, then as a full-time day trader, whatever it is, and you feel like you have to make money, do you really think that you're going to come in the market when all that burden's on your shoulder, on your chest, you'll be able to make the right decisions? You're not. I've done it. I lost fucking 40 some $1,000 in a day. You know what I mean? Because shit
Mm-hmm.
happened in my personal life,
Yeah.
that I thought I was gonna be able to come in the market and still kill it. But
Well, wait, hold on. Are you down to go into that story? That sounds
Dude,
painful,
I
but
mean,
if something's happened in your personal life that's made, yeah, that's
dude, if anything, man, Lucci taught me how to be myself and be honest, because if you can't be honest with yourself, you're never gonna be able to go further in life to be a better person. So love you, bro.
I
Yeah,
love
man.
that.
So thank you, man, because honestly, without Lucci, I honestly couldn't have be even having this conversation with you guys. It's
Right.
2 days ago. I sent him my December where I closed that, because I figured it was a good topic. Because at the end of the day, I think we honestly want to help other people. I honestly want to help other people. I know Charlie does, Lucci does, because both of you guys have been there for me anytime I needed anything from you guys. So, yeah, I mean, I'm completely open to talk about my big gains and my big losses, and yeah.
Well,
We
you
might have
said
to. We'll have to bring him back on another one. We'll have to do another one.
we're going to
Cause
bring
then
another.
we'll go. You know what we'll do? We'll go win to win, loss for loss. Me and you. That's what we'll do. And then
I like
we'll
I
do.
like that.
And then we'll have Charlie set him up. So we'll do what was going on in your personal life when you either took that big win or took that loss, and then what happened after. That could be a really dope session.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Indeed.
All right. Well, I mean, so summarizing kind of your answer to that last question, it sounds like that really success for you. I mean, you did not name, you're not like, I need 7 figures in the bank account. It's not X kind of car lifestyle or whatever. You were pretty much, it sounds like you want to be able to trade loose, within yourself and every single day on the upswing and that in sort of improving your process. That's what success looks like for you.
It is, man, because I try my best not to. I used to put a dollar amount, like, yeah, when you have certain number fixated in your mind, that's all you're focused on, right? And I know Lucci just said we're gonna go on to talking about the other stuff and maybe down the other road, but I just want to do a tiny example.
Yeah.
You know,
Do it.
I, you know, when I started in December, whatever, 22,000, and I was talking to Ranchero, I was like, yo, Ranchero, man, I just want to flip this end of the year into 40, right? Ranchero was like, yo, man, forget the number, man. And as soon as I forgot about it, I
You
I
hit it.
ended up,
Fucking hit it.
I got over 100,000, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, in 3 weeks, and yeah,
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
um,
Same thing.
and
By the way, same thing happened to
No
me.
bit.
Same exact thing happened to me, and it happens to me over and over and over. I mean, last year I was flatlining with a crazy range for months, and then all of a sudden, like settled Puerto Rico was just kind of good, just cut everything out, and then just had 1 month where I made, and it doesn't even matter the number, but it's just everything was there. You're clicking, you're making the right decisions, and money just appears. It just
and if, yeah,
appears.
Well,
exactly. You
and
followed your rule. I mean, your plan.
I mean, your wife, the psychologist, I'm sure talks to you about this, but like the performance psychology of focusing on a process versus an outcome. This is what all good performers, great performers do. I mean, Lucci and I always talk about with tennis, right?
Yeah,
Same thing.
yeah,
Like when you're playing a sport and you're like, I gotta win, I gotta win. If I win, then this person's gonna think this of me and do it for so and so, and this blah blah. It'll be so great. You start telling yourself these narratives and these stories that distracts from your
yeah,
ability to execute, right? But when you're just saying this is what I have to put the serve right here, this area of
yep.
the box, and the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to serve and volley and put over
That's
here and
it.
drop shot him here. Then the outcome takes care of itself. And it's paradoxical, it's counterintuitive, it's frustrating as hell. But
Yeah,
like once you guys are
yeah.
talking about that feeling of when you hit that stride, that's when it's just, you're
Yeah,
in
it's
that
how
flow.
Fed and Novak can come back after being down 2 sets and
Right,
destroy and shock and awe up until
right,
and just crush. They
right.
don't think about that, because once you do that, that's it. You've already lost. You fucking lost
Yeah,
already.
yeah,
You might as
yeah,
well go down and give up a 6 goose egg in the third set and go to fuck home.
right. And
100%, man. You have to believe in the process that, even though you just got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and he'll get it right. I mean, a lot of people may think this is weird, but I mean, I'm a big fan of Conor McGregor, I mean, and I have a lot of respect for that dude because, I mean, look at his documentary on Netflix, I mean, how much he has accomplished within 4 years, and all the boxers and the best boxers in the world was trying to get a fight with Mayweather, but none of them could. Some dude that never fought in the boxing ring, yo, I want to fight you, but, he did it. He had a
right.
vision and he, you know what I mean? So, like, you have to be you have to just believe in the process, and you have to believe in yourself, because I don't want to come off cocky, but I am my number one fan. If I don't believe in myself, no one else will. I can't expect you to believe in me.
Right.
So a lot of people are so hard on themselves. Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I'm sure Lucci has been there. I'm sure you have been
Oh
there.
yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
we all got to get our ass kicked in order to know what, like, this is something Jesus mentioned. Like, it's okay to make mistakes, man. Like, only way you're gonna know what you're good at by making those mistakes. Okay, I
Yeah.
didn't, do this particular part right, but this one's I'm good at. Let me focus on that. So
I think we see that a lot in with the newer guys and some of the guys who are in the room right now who are coming on next week, like Ranchero and Tim. These guys, experienced guys in the room, like they take losses and that is definitely a marker of experience. Being able to take a loss and just not even, it's just information. You just see it, and it's just something that's feeding your inputs, that will affect your outputs. But there's no, like, younger people who come into the room, younger traders, they get that attachment. They have the emotional, they're like in a boxing match, instead of like a little jab that a loss is, it's just like an uppercut, and it brings them to their knees, and you just kind of got to be like, hey man, get back up. You're gonna be fine. Like, you just
yeah,
gotta keep going.
again, I think that's the ego of it, because people come in the market. I think a lot of people, like, when they get in a trade, they think like, oh, how much am I gonna make? I don't think a lot of the new traders ever think of like, yo, like, how much am I gonna lose? Like, start thinking like that. Like, put your risk in check first. Like, then you'll start making the right decisions. You won't be FOMO. You won't follow. Like, when shit's just gapping up or whatever, you're not gonna chase anything. So at the
Right.
end of the day, it all comes down to your style, your risk parameter, and just one day at a time. Market's not going anywhere. It's like those are some of the things that beforehand I was like,
Not
fuck, I
going
gotta make money
anywhere.
today.
It's
You know what I
fucking not
mean? Like,
going anywhere, man. I
yeah,
took
man.
it. I took a big loss yesterday, and like, I've been at this for a while, and it's a loss. A loss is a loss. It's still going to affect me the same way. However, when I wake up, now I know what emotions are going to come out for me, what bad emotions are going to come out for me, what good emotions are going to come out for me. And if I'm pressing on the bad side, I'll even just say, you know what, that's it. I'm not even looking at this shit. Some of these guys will ask me all the time, like, dude, where are you in here? I'm like, dude, I'm out. I'm out. I'm not looking at this shit
This
because
is
I don't
risk
give a shit.
management. This is risk management. I'm stepping
Exactly,
away.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm hedging my life right now.
Right.
So leave me the
So
fuck
being an
alone.
IG posting it, I'm being an IG model, right?
These
All
days,
right.
when I'm in Puerto Rico, I'm finding a waterfall somewhere and I'm cruising around on a beach somewhere. That's what
And
I'm
why
doing.
not? Why not? That's
And
the
why the
that's
fuck not, bro?
that's the thing. We've talked about this in the past too. Like, everyone's version of success is different, and people get fixed in their head. I think sometimes, if you're a trader, you got to be sitting there in front of like six
Right,
screens, and
right.
I got to be banging out and John Knapp, equations in the air and shit like that. And it's just like, it doesn't have to be like that, man. You could be
It's
trading.
funny how you said that, Charlie. Like, a lot of the time, most of the time when people say, "Oh, I want to become a trader," it's freedom. But like, at the end of the day, like, if you want freedom, like, why be glued to your fucking
Right,
screen, right?
right.
Take
It's
advantage
another
of that.
trap.
Like,
It's another trap. It is another trap. But that's
so
a whole nother freaking webinar. We got to bring this
Yeah,
kid back. We got to bring this
yeah,
kid back.
we will, of course, of course. All right, well, we got some good questions here, so we'll get into that in a second. Talking about coming back from losses, which I think is a good one. We're gonna do a shameless plug here for the master course, right? So the next Sang Lucci master course, Anwar is a graduate of it. He can speak to you about his experience in a second. But coming up March 25th, so we got a $750 discount on it right now for people who are not members of the Steam Room. If you are a member of the Steam Room, we have an even steeper discount for you. Just email me directly, charlie@sanglucci.com. And yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before. If you guys don't know anything about the master course, let me get Lucci. Can I show my screen? I think maybe you have to show your screen.
Okay. Yeah, I'll
We
go
can
ahead.
pull up the master course page. It's everything that you guys would typically get. So the 12 live sessions with Lucci, he's taking you through how he trades options, tape reading. Obviously, we're some of the only ones that teach tape reading. Lucci has that's where the core of Lucci's feel for the markets come from.
I think
So
we are the only one. I think we are the only one at this point. I really
I think there's still some prop shops out there, I think, that teach it. But in terms of public educators and stuff, yeah, I think we might be the only ones. And you know, trading psychology, huge element to this. Is obviously what we've been talking about for the latter part of this webinar. That's huge. It's not just your own psychology, it's the psychology of all the other market participants, right? How are market makers thinking about, you know, their positions, and what does that mean for you in terms of how you're you know, your timing your entries and your exits and sizing in and out. So you get that whole thing. You get Lucci's options writing strategy, which has been a huge part of his consistency over the past you know, year and a couple months, just being able to crank out consistent gains. We're adding a 13th class about hedging, entirely about hedging. So typically it's 12 classes. We're adding a 13th one just about hedging. We got this extra class from Ranchero, which is going to be fucking awesome. I'm very psyched about that, about, you know, trading around your long-term positions. He's a really good example of someone who took the skill sets that Lucci teaches and preaches and kind of integrated it into his own system, and he has produced a fucking awesome system that he is now going to teach to you guys, no extra cost in the master course.
Yeah, Ranchero does things that I'm even, and again, and Anwar here too, you know, like both of these guys will do things that I'll look at the trades, and I'll be like, all right, I saw exactly what he saw there, and I was like, wow. And sometimes I'll be like, damn, you know, I saw myself in that same place, but that's just not my strategy. That's not my style. And I love, this is what it's all about. I mean, we stopped doing this course that many times because number one, it's difficult for me to produce the level of energy I need to, you know, to be able to teach everybody. But now that we separated a little bit, like, you know, you're really getting a lot of energy from me. And what I'm looking to do is produce guys like this. Guys like this who are fucking confident in themselves. And they go in there and they're like, all right, I know how I'm going to freak this shit today. And then, boom, they just come up with this stuff. I'm looking at it like, oh, shit. I didn't even think about that.
And the cool part of it is too is, I mean, so you get a month of access free to the steam room, and that's, you know, Ranchero being on here teaching this class, Anwar being on here doing this webinars like this, guys like Tim who are just popping on in the middle of the steam room sharing the wealth. I think we've seen the growth of the community of people who are just willing to just keep feeding back, you know, their goodwill and their energy back into the community has been awesome to see, and you get a part of that. Vince asked a good question. Do you get access to the educational materials for life or just a certain period of time? For life, you get access for life. So you can go back, view all the previous recordings of sessions if you want that. You get to keep coming back to future sessions over and over. So there's guys who signed up, you know, 5 years ago who are still coming because Lucci teaches it a little bit different every time, learning something new every time. So yeah, we are running this special, guys, $750 off. And you can go check that out if you want to, www.sayinglucci.com/MC750. So I can drop that in the chat here.
Yeah, throw it in there for them on the questions there.
Yeah, MC750.
That way, if you guys are going to do this, you might as well get the discount.
At your community college, it was probably more than that. So I'm just saying, a lot of people want to learn how to trade, but, you know, I'm sorry, man. I got to put my 2 cents in that. You know, like people, you know, like dude, people have shit ton of loans, right? Luckily, I didn't have loans, and I went to the military. But a lot of people will like got shit ton of fucking loans, and what did you learn? Nothing. At the end of the day, you're just working for someone else, you know. So like, yeah. So like, think about it like that, man. The things you're gonna learn, you know, and especially for someone brand new and someone that's skilled. Because I came in here learning. I knew other stuff. I knew how to trade, but you learn all sorts of different things that you can like put together. And yeah, like just think about it from that perspective, man. You know, a lot of people are like, oh man, you know, whatever negative shit that they have, you know, in their head or whatever. Just yeah, I'm sure you probably spend more than that at community college for one class.
BU costs $75,000 a motherfucking year now, bro. A fucking year now. BU. Boston University costs $75,000 a year. Granted, you're adding, you know.
Worst education system, but that's another topic.
All right. So yeah, guys, and we're obviously biased, but $2,750 which for a lot of people is like 1 or 2 trades, you know, that could go against you. What you get in return, it's worth it. So definitely check that out. If you have questions, email me, charlie@sanglucci.com. Next live class starts March 25th, guys. So all right, let's get into some questions here before we wrap this up. Actually, this is like an impossibly deep question to answer, but Lucci, I'll throw it to you real quick. Someone's asking, Ahmed's asking, what is tape reading?
Yeah, sure. Tape reading, it's simple. You know, you would take a look at this level 2, for example, and you would analyze bid and ask, and you would analyze some of the transactions that are going off in between the bid and ask, and then from there you would sort of take that analysis into an overall reading on supply and demand. And then you can make a good decision on whether you want to be involved on the demand side or on the supply side. So basically, it's finding footprints of some larger players out there that you can follow and you know, you can try to make money on. Coincidentally, Wall Street Jesus is just another formation or another variation of tape where he's looking for aggressive options trades. And when we say aggressive, that means these people are out there sweeping offers, or these people are out there sweeping bids to get in and out of things. And that to us, you know, signals a lot of aggressiveness. And from there, we can try to follow those trades. We can try to do, you know, we can create a trading strategy around that analysis. So that is what tape reading is in the simplest way.
Yeah, and Ahmed, if you have more questions about that, that's like as deep of a topic as you can get when it, you know, you can go down rabbit holes with that. So feel free to email us on that one.
Indeed.
All right, we got some good questions here. Tim's asking this is for you, Anwar. What is your biggest strength and your biggest weakness as a trader?
Oh shit! Let's talk about the weakness first. My biggest weakness is not
Attaboy.
being fucking, being patient, right? And sometimes I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, I think
But
all of
see, he
us.
created a damn strategy around it. His weakness is whatever the fuck it is, the patience thing, and his strategy makes sure that that major weakness doesn't stab him in the back when he's fucking sleeping at night, man.
100%, man. I think focus on the shit that you do really bad, because you always got to be aware like what your emotions or what you're doing wrong, because if you're able to figure that out, then you're able to like know, like, what, I shouldn't be doing this, because I know how to fucking trade. At the end of the day, man, I can fucking trade. I don't care if it's a fucking ripple, nipple, whatever. Like, give it to me, I can trade it. But it's about your timing, right? And it's about your patience, like, and managing your feelings, your thoughts, your impulse, and all of that above. So I like to focus on the weakness, because I don't want to make the same fucking habits, mistakes over and over again. As far as my strength goes, and you know, I look at it as like scared money don't make money. So like I'm never scared to lose. Uh, you know, I- Unfortunately, like you have to have that type of mentality. You have to have that type of drive in you. Like if you sit there and focus on like, oh my God, I'm about to lose it all, then you shouldn't be fucking trading to begin with, or you don't have your risk in check. Being able to execute like instant, I taken a trade, and within seconds, and I gotten out of it less than 2 minutes and made decent money off of it. So those are some of my strengths, but my weakness being, just wait for a setup sometimes, instead of like chasing, and at the end of the day, like just because Lucci and Charlie have me on here doesn't mean I'm perfect. You know what I mean? I make mistakes every single day. The
Yeah.
sooner you realize that, dude.
I lost 50,000 yesterday. Shit. What are we talking about?
As I'm maturing, it's like, before I could never talk about my losses, because, you're ashamed of it, you're guilty, whatever, all those emotions that take control. So yeah, man. I mean, it's just, having a particular decent, good habit, like this is what works for me. This is what doesn't work for me. So focus on the stuff that works for you and cut all the stuff that doesn't work for you. And
I
don't
think
make it hard, man. From day one, I used to be in sales, is the KISS method, right? Keep it simple, stupid. So like just go with that in trading though, like a lot of people will like make it more complicated than it needs to be, man. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew, you asked a question about, how do you grind through your trading slumps? You know, someone else was asking about like how do you bounce back from losses? Like you just answered that, right?
Yeah.
You focus
Yeah.
on what you're doing well. You keep it simple. You know, you stick to your process. You don't get so mentally attached to losses. You don't. There's no shame around it. You just, you know.
But see,
Like,
Andrew's question here is I mean, he's going for it. You know what I mean? It's like, how do you grind through your trading slumps mentally? He's going straight to the emotion. It's like the emotions when you're in a trading slump, it'll have you not wanting to wake up in the morning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been in a slump so bad that I don't want to wake up in the morning. I'm eating cheesesteaks every fucking day. I'm eating, you know, I'm everything. I'm throwing it all out the fucking window. That's what he's talking about. So
It's
Andrew,
so funny, like, you know, what you just said, Lucci, because literally yesterday, you know, my older brother texted me, you know, he always believed in me, you know, I think most of my family do, but he said, you know, remember all the good times you had so the hard times are easier to go through. I
yeah,
think exactly opposite, because I think about the hard times because I don't ever want to feel that feelings ever again. So
that's an
in my
Indian thing,
way,
bro. That's a brown people thing. That's a fucking brown people thing, man.
that's
I
my
learned that from
fucking
my father, bro.
support. All the
That's a
bad
brown people
that I
thing, bro.
ever had, man. I don't want to ever want to feel that shit, you know. So that's my base. That's my base on the stand. So that's my support. So Andrew, if you ever fucking lost your tongue, whatever it is, just don't ever forget that feeling, how you felt that day. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, however way you can record it, because you know,
Oh,
just
look, he's brown too. He's brown too.
so I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to feel that shit, man. You know, I know I can have better times, you know, as long as I'm not having a bad time, right? So.
Yeah, so Andrew, like, you know, again, like you're talking you need, I mean, granted, it's not like we're telling you to go see a fucking therapist, but at the same time, you have your own issues that you have a way that you respond to failure is what's going on right now. So you respond to failure in a shitty way, which by the way, we all fucking do. So we can't sit here and tell you what to do to get your ass out the fucking hole. You know what I'm saying? You are the one that has to get out there. And for all of us, you know, it takes different things. Charlie, it takes something different, and Anwar here, it takes something different. So you know, for me, I got to dig deeper. I got to go even deeper to find even a new bottom. You know, and then eventually I'll come out. So Andrew, man, you got some work to do. You got some mental work to do. So I wouldn't look out for those answers, bro. I'd look in, man. Look, go deeper, bro. You know what I mean?
Well said.
So,
All right, we got a ton of questions here. Andrew Din is asking, how do you handle iceberg orders when you read the tape? I mean, that's the kind of thing that Lucci
This
will.
is what you're gonna learn. Yeah,
That's
this is
not.
what you're gonna learn
Yeah.
first. So Andrew, hopefully we'll see you in there, man.
Yep. Yep. Mark Rice says, I broke my laptop from bad losing trade. I need Wall Street Jesus.
My man,
Yeah, guys.
you need English class first because it's not losing, it's fucking losing. All right, so that's what you need
That's like
first.
your pet peeve,
that's why I
man.
love Lucci, man. He just tell you how it is, and some
You
people
fucking
can't
need
take it. I love it. I love it.
first you need that. We've all broken laptops, so you're in the same boat as Andrew here. So you gotta go inside. And by the way, I also do this. As much as I hate the thought of being somebody's therapist, I act as one in the course. The large portion of the course is the psychological effects of what we are doing. And I am always talking about that even as I'm discussing tape, because tape is also psychological. It's also very behavioral. If we're sitting there scraping for aggressive orders in options, what is the behavior and what is the psychology of that person that just put a fucking $1 million on X, Y, and Z, and he didn't give a fuck what the fuck price he paid for? What is the psychological context to what that man just did? Because that is what also moves markets. So the whole time we're doing the course, we're talking psychology. So you know,
And
indirectly, I'm your fucking therapist. I guess.
I mean, you're indirectly you're a therapist, but I think Luch, not to blow smoke up your ass, but you're also just like a giant mirror to people in the course, right? I mean, and sometimes that means you're a giant backhand that just slaps people across the face, and it just sort of shakes them and says like, look at yourself and understand the patterns that you're engaging in, like, you know. And I think a lot of people who come into the course, you know, we follow up with people after the course. We ask, you know, surveys and get feedback, and, you know, say what's worked, what did you take away from this? What worked for you? For what didn't? What can we improve upon? And almost across the board, everyone says that one of the most important takeaways they had was the self-knowledge and the understanding of themselves that they had, the improvement in that pre-course and post-course, right? And I think, Luch, that's one of the things you do is you just reflect whether it's fun to look at or not. Most of the time it's not. You know, I've been on the same side as your business partner, and like, but that's you know, you just have a way of drawing people's attention to what's really going on, and that's
Indeed.
part of what the master course is about. So
there you go.
Word.
Ironically, though, after this whole conversation, we might have Anwar teach it. That's it. We might have him teach it this time around.
We got Ranchero on. We're gonna start pulling.
Good.
Yeah,
You'll get the same thing. In fact, we'll go for a $10,000 price point. Then you guys can get me $3,000. We'll hook you up with Anwar. And you'll get.
But I promise you, man. I mean, it'll be worth every single dime. You know, I mean, yeah, Lucci, man, you changed my life, bro. So thank you.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
Anwar, thank you for coming on, man. Thank you for sharing your experiences with us, with these guys, and you know, for being such a big part of the room. And looking forward to having you on in the next one quite soon.
Roger that. Thank you, guys.
Soon,
right,
bro.
guys.
Soon.
Love you guys. Take care, my man. Later.
All right. See you guys.